Hello, everybody, and welcome to this morning's Fireside Chat at the Future of Commerce. With us today is Shola Akinlade, the CEO and founder of Paystack. Shola, it's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes.
Excellent. So, Shola, as I understand it, Paystack's goal is to make it easy for every merchant on the continent to collect payments, to be able to make transactions and collect money from their customers. You guys have made a lot of progress on this journey. You've sort of really revolutionized the game for merchants all over the continent, and you've gone really far down this road. I think last year's acquisition by Stripe sort of puts a pin and really shows how far along this journey that you have come. That being said, there's a lot of road yet. There are a lot of merchants who still can't collect payments. You guys are in a few countries, but not across the entire continent. And we know that there's a lot of sort of payments-related problems still to be solved. So I'd like you to speak to us a little bit about your view of how far you've come, what's next, and how you measure success.
Yeah. No, thanks for that. Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me, and glad to be here. So I think Paystack was a payments company. Like you mentioned, we help merchants accept payments from their customers. We launched about 5 years ago, and I think we've made a lot of progress. Our mission is just like figuring out how to accelerate commerce in the continent, because if you think about it, Africa has 17% of the world's population, but just 2% of the world's digital commerce. So there's a very big gap there, and a lot of our work at Paystack is just like closing that gap. And of course, we're making progress, but I guess there's just so much that needs to be done. To answer your question around how far we've gone, I guess the best way to talk about how far we've gone is to say that when we launched in Nigeria in 2016, whatever Nigeria was doing as a country in digital payments, Paystack is doing more than 9 times that today. So I think that's progress, but again, it's not enough. In terms of how we think about the future, we have different parts to that. I think the first part is just figuring out how to build this global payments and treasury network, because payments has to be like, it's global. You have to be able to receive payments from anyone, anywhere in the world. And it's actually very difficult. And if you think about the difference between digital and cash, once it starts going past like your locality, then digital offers very strong advantages. So for example, it's actually faster for money to move digitally from Nigeria to South Africa than for it to move like in cash, And so a lot of our work at Paystack is trying to figure out how to just build that global payments and treasury network. That's the first part. The second part of it is, which we're probably going to be talking about more, is just thinking about what in-person experiences would look like, because again, digital is not just online, digital is digital. So, and personally for me, when I'm in Lagos, I still struggle. Like when I'm going to a restaurant, like, should I hold cash? Should I hold my card? Will it work? And it's something that has always been at the back of my mind, and probably most people too. I'm sure a lot of people can relate with that. And I think just figuring out how to like solve that problem is very, very important. In fact, I think about myself, like I've traveled quite a little in the last few months, and when I travel to countries, I don't even know what their currency looks like. I don't know the name. I don't know how. But I find myself traveling to African countries and scrambling to look for an ATM at the airport or something like that. So I think just thinking about what in-person experiences will look like digitally is something we're thinking about. And then the third part, which I think is the most important part, is how can we be a platform? How can we help people build scalable businesses? Because I think fundamentally, I think we have built something that is important, but to take it to the next level, we need a lot of people to build on top of it. And so I think we've actually spent a lot of time this year, 2021, just like investing in a lot of infrastructure. I know infrastructure is very vague, but if you think about even compliance, like Do you have the compliance to allow people just build things? Do you have the treasury? Do you have the tools? And do you have the partnerships and all that? So I think over the next few months and years, you will see Paystack as a full platform that allows people to program anything, to build anything, and we will just like support that growth. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you for that answer. I think that's a really robust sort of sense of what's come and what's next, what the opportunities are going forward. I want to drill a bit deeper into some of the things you've mentioned. You talked about global networks and sort of being able to connect your network so people can accept payments from all over the world and do transactions with partners all over the world. Obviously, being part of the Stripe network must make that sort of easier to accomplish. So I want to ask, on that front, what's a problem that exists today that Paystack is looking to sort of eliminate over the next 12 to 18 months? What is it that a merchant in Nigeria or Kenya or Ghana or wherever it is could be able to say, if I plug into Paystack in 18 months, I will be able to do this amazing thing that I can't do currently?
Yes, no. Thanks for that. I think the biggest impediment to like scaling a business as an African business is that there's just a lot of fragmentation in the continent. Like there are 54 countries, a lot of currencies, a lot of regulators, just so much. Like compared to like Europe, for example, where like the euro is used across a lot of countries, and if you had like a license to operate somewhere, you can just like deliver your service across the continent, and that doesn't really exist today. I know there's a lot of work happening to make that work, but I guess today it's hard. And so as I think over the next 18 months, I think businesses should be able to stay where they are, but be able to serve merchants, serve customers across anywhere, and you don't have to worry about the obligations that come with that, like the currency, the tax implications, the movement of money, the rules and all that. So I think someone should figure out all that complexity, and you should just be able to either launch in new markets, depending on the kind of business you're working on, or just sell to people anywhere and not worry about, what payment methods do they accept in this country? Or how can I get my money into this country? What is the currency? What is the conversion? What is all that? And someone will figure it out for you. Yes.
Gotcha. And that would definitely be a blessing. I think what's interesting and something that we'll talk about during the rest of the conference today is the fact that it's fantastic to be able to solve that problem. And if you guys can solve the payment problem, so I can sell from Nigeria, they can buy it in Tanzania, they can make payments. We'll still have to solve the logistics problem. And that's not Paystack's problem to solve, but someone's got to solve moving the goods from place to place, which is what today's conversation is about, sort of like all the various levels of commerce. And it's fantastic to start the conversation because it feels like you guys are building the infrastructure from a payments perspective to solve core problems in commerce. But there are sort of a range of other problems that sort of somebody else is going to have to get a handle of. To move on to your other conversation about in-person payments, a really interesting thing. I liked your example of sort of like, you do in Europe, you don't worry about what the currency looks like, but then you get to Africa and you start looking for an ATM. So my experience now is in Nigeria, I carry no cash, and it's fine in restaurants. I can always pay my bill in a restaurant. I can always pay my bill in a store. But where it hurts is I can't tip people anymore because like I get there and I'm like, I have no cash. Sometimes you do a USSD transaction, but sometimes that's just more money than you intend to give. So definitely I'm keen to see what kind of solutions you guys are going to come up with that are going to solve in-person payments. And I know we'll have a few more sessions today as well talking about that. But I guess, are there any ideas within that space you want to discuss with us now?
No, I think you should wait for it. but I think it ties to the platform conversation I mentioned earlier, which is that, like you said, you have a tipping problem to be honest, that's a good problem to have. I'm sure people are listening to this here and say, this guy is a big guy. And somebody else has another problem. So I think the way to address in person is to think of it as a platform where people can solve multiple problems. And to be honest, when you talk about the tipping problem, it's actually a very big one too for me, because sometimes I don't even want to send money to them. I don't want, because I don't know you, so I can't even send money to you. Like, I don't know who I'm sending money to and all that. So I guess my point there is, as we think about it, and that's how we're thinking about it, is the right solution has to be programmable. It has to be like a platform. People have to be able to build on top of it. People have to be able, like, someone should figure that problem out. We've built out like the right infrastructure to make that work. So that's how we're thinking about it.
Fantastic. So here's I guess I was going to dig into the platform conversation a bit more, because that's obviously the exciting thing from a Paystack perspective. That's what makes you guys, even huger and more scalable as a business than you already are. But I guess I will leave you to keep some of your secret. Yeah. I guess maybe we should tap into it a little bit more, because the question is, and it's interesting to me, I see there are a lot of people working on payments across the continent, working at it from different angles. And so from a platform perspective, how do you see the future of all of these various efforts? Do you see yourself building something that, people who are currently your competitors will plug into, or what's your overall thinking around the platform conversation? How does it evolve?
Yeah, okay. I think the biggest shift, or the biggest way to explain it, is we've historically looked at payments as a two-party relationship, which is who is the merchant and who is the consumer. Like, I'm paying this person. And I think the evolution is thinking of it as a three-person relationship. It's like, who is the merchant, who is the consumer, and who is the, I won't even call it platform. I think who is the developer, who is the applications developer that is, or maybe who is the platform actually, that is facilitating that payment. And how can we like give them the tools to like improve that transaction, and so I think that's a big shift. Just thinking of ourselves as moving from that two-party facilitation to like a three-party model where we're empowering people to actually make that transaction even get better. Yes. I don't know if that's simple enough or makes it more complicated.
No, I think that's fair. I think we can live with that. So let me push a question, which I kind of touched on a little bit, which is you guys are going to solve payment problems. You're not going to solve logistics problems. But a big part of the work that you do is essentially enabling the ecosystem, enabling things to happen. So the question I have is, what are the other problems you want to see other people solving? If you can move from point A to point B on the payments thing, what are the other exciting challenges that are not going to be Paystack challenges, but you want to see other companies solving, you want to see other people building for? Like, where else do you see exciting opportunities in commerce?
Yeah. Oh, you added in commerce too.
Okay. All right, so e-commerce. Where else do you see the exciting opportunities?
Actually, maybe there might still be a commerce angle. I think two things that worry me, like when I'm in Nigeria, is I think the first one is just like affordable long-term housing. I just think like young people, it's just so hard for a young person to like buy a house and live like your quality of life, literally. So maybe I'll just call it like a quality of life startup, which is why I think maybe there's some path to commerce there. And I think Eden is doing some things there on the food part. But I think just like, how are we like designing, what are some long-term plays that makes it easy to help people like just like improve their quality of life without necessarily like spending, without necessarily like just going way above their means and all that. So I guess I'm really looking
there's a big commerce aspect to that. That is about, sort of like smart contracts, that is kind of long-term securities, because if people are going to have long-term housing, that is about sort of securing recurring payments, So there's a lot of commerce required in actually making that work. Building the houses is
I will see how it ties to like identity and even buy now, pay later, and some
critical.
of those things,
Critical.
you know, crypto and all that. Yes, exactly. So definitely something that just allows you just like improve the quality of your life is something that I would want people to like work on. Yeah, I think that's the biggest one for me.
So I think my final question for you, Shola, is what's most exciting for you about sort of the future? When looking at technology in Africa, across the board, what's exciting to you about the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think technology in Africa, I like the crypto angle. I think crypto is very important. And I know that, of course, there's some regulatory constraints in Nigeria right now. But I think long term, I think figuring out how to make crypto work is a very good equalizer for the continent. So I think I definitely like that. I like the progress that is happening in open banking because I just think, like, again, like I said, there's just so much fragmentation in the continent, and anything that will open it up, anything that will just improve access is going to be good. So I definitely. On the offline side, I'm looking for more contactless, experiences. Just like I know, like restaurants are doing a lot of like scan to like get your menu, but like, can we get it to like the Oyster card level, just tap to pay in restaurants, or like use your phone to pay and all that. So I'm looking for more like, and I think it will happen. I think we'll get there, but just like a lot more contactless offline experiences will be interesting. And maybe finally, I think the Nigerian diaspora. So I've seen a few products now. Also, I think Lemonade is one of them, where they're thinking of Nigerians or Africans not even as the physical location now, because I think as young people we know that like there's just a lot that has been happening in Nigeria to young people, and people are traveling, people are moving. So I think there's a transition to Nigeria being just an idea, Nigeria being like a concept, which I think is good because it's perfect for technology. We can just like build for Nigerians regardless of where they are, and that's something I find really, really fascinating. And I think more people should just like do that. And I think it's worked in music, it's worked in movies, So I think our tech at some point will just like build for tech, and regardless of where you are, you just get it. Yeah. But I guess again, the way to round this up is just like, if there's anything I've seen in the last 5 years or 2 years, it's just like, don't bet against the future. Like the future, the vibe, the energy, the everything that is happening in the tech ecosystem in Africa, and everything that's happened in the last 5 years just makes me very, very excited about what the next 5 years will look like. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. I really like that as a kind of closing point, which is don't bet against the future. There's a lot of really important changes happening. I think definitely we can see some movements in some corners where it does feel like people are really sort of battling to keep the future from happening as quickly as it can, but that does seem to be a losing bet. So I think if there's a note we'll leave people for the rest of this conference is don't bet against the future. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, Shola, and take care. We look forward to hearing more about what Paystack is doing over the course of the day, and seeing all you guys pull together. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. I trust we found that informative and interesting. I'm going to take a few questions now from the audience for Shola, who's joining us. So if you don't already know, and if you haven't already been onto Slido, it's slido.com. And if you put in the code TCFOC, you'll be able to ask some questions during this session. I can already see a few of them. You can also upvote the most interesting questions by using the thumbs up button. And so those will be the questions I see first. We will take the first question on here, which is Paystack going to cater to the underbanked merchants someday? It's an interesting question, Shola. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think Paystack already caters for underbanked merchants. I think the way we think about it is building infrastructure for people to build on top of Paystack. And one of my favorite use cases that I see that is accelerating the underbanked and making them banked is on a company called Buy Power, where they help people sell electricity. And I think that's a very powerful use case, because if your electricity goes off on a Friday night, how do you turn it back on? Do you wait for Monday and pay cash, or do you figure out how to get banked and digitally figure it out? And so Buy Power is accelerating that. So I think definitely the way we think about this is to continue to be a platform and support people to build interesting things. Yes, I don't know if that answers the question.
I think it does. I mean, it does seem to me like that's always been sort of like your mission anyway.
Exactly.
To make it possible for people to collect. So the second question is, will Stripe be enabling US merchants to accept currency via Paystack's infrastructure? I know.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I don't know how to answer that question. I guess, will Paystack be enabling US merchants to accept currency via Paystack's infrastructure? I think it's something we're working on, and it's something we do. So I think we help merchants accept payments from anyone, anywhere in the world. So we'll do that.
So, I mean, I think there's a question there around multi-currency.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, what do you enable at the moment, and what's coming down the pipeline in that regard?
Yeah. So I think in Nigeria, we accept Naira and USD. Today, Paystack is in 3 markets, launching a few more markets over the next few months. But one of the things we're trying to do over the next few months is to connect everything together. So I would admit that we haven't connected everything as much as we can, but I think we're still building the building.
So right now, if I'm in Ghana, I can collect in CDs. If I'm in Nigeria, I can collect in Naira.
Exactly.
But eventually, I should be able to sort of pick the currency I want in the markets that I want.
Exactly. And it's something we're actually working on, and very soon you'll have some very interesting solutions.
Because Oliver Twist is my middle name, do you want to tell us what markets you're launching in the next few months? So that
I don't. There are people working on those markets, and I don't want to put them under that pressure. But
fine.
Yeah. I think we'll hear. So.
Okay. All right. We'll get. I mean, TechCabal will get you the news first.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So there's another question around what's Paystack's future in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So when will Paystack enable crypto payments?
Yeah. No, I think we're watching that space very closely. Like I mentioned in the chat, clearly in Nigeria, there's some regulatory constraints, but it's something we understand at Paystack. So, and it's something we're watching closely, and very quickly, once there's an opportunity to do something in a very compliant way, I can expect that Paystack will have something.
Compliant.
Yes.
We're not going to speak about the regulators today. Someone wants to know, do you think the fintech space is oversaturated for new entrants?
Of course not. I think there's so many opportunities. There are over 1.5 billion people in Africa. I think in 2050, I can't remember the numbers, but I guess this is a continent that is growing fast. Like I mentioned again, we have 17% of the world's population, but just 2% of the world's digital commerce. Just 1% of Africa's GDP is online. Just think about that. So there's just so much opportunities. So it's definitely far from oversaturated. I even think about Paystack. Like I remember how I felt in 2015 when I was trying to build Paystack, and how I thought, oh, the payments, so much to do. That's exactly how I still feel today. I still wake up every morning and there's still a big problem to be solved. So I think, there's just so much to do.
There's a lot of work to be done yet.
Exactly.
I guess my final question is sort of what's the, it's a question from the audience here, which is what has uptake for the storefront product been? And what direction are you looking in for that? And that's an interesting question, just because that was a product that launched during the pandemic. Curious to see how it's doing.
I think there's been a lot of, and there's a buzzword called no-code tools, which I think people talk about a lot. And I personally think like African businesses are the most underserved and undertooled. And at Paystack is something we take it very seriously. We think African businesses should have all the tools they need to start and scale their businesses. And when we built Storefront, why we built it, because we knew that there's so many, you can't underbuild for Africa. Like there's just so much you can do. The uptake has been really, really impressive. We've seen people build a lot of interesting things. We've seen people sell amazing things there. As we think about the future of that, I think again, it's just to continue to empower people. And the way we think about Paystack, and maybe it's something we don't talk about enough. I keep talking about platforms, and it might be confusing to say, oh, you're a platform, but why are you also building like specific tools? But I think the way we think about it is, again, how are we helping people get started very quickly? How are we helping people start and scale? And we expect that even our Storefront product is an API. So there's a lot that can be built on the Storefront. We just launched Apple Pay yesterday, for example. We're launching a few more things, and there's so much you can do. So if you were a developer and you even wanted to extend the Paystack Storefronts to do amazing things, you can do it. And that's how we think about things at Paystack. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Shola. It's been amazing to have you. And we look forward to seeing all the amazing things Paystack's going to do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Well, thanks so much for having me in this conference. And yeah, good to be here with everyone. Proud to be part of this generation building the future. So thank you so much.
All right. To building the future. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.